Hi, everybody, and as always, welcome back. Okay, so I took the time to do a bit of an analysis on Meghan's conversation with Andrew Ross Sorkin and Melody Hobson, which took place yesterday, and which was supposed to be about parity in the workplace for women. First of all, it looks as if Meghan is still in mourning, having appeared in all black once again, a black crewneck sweater, black trousers, a black belt by Salvatore Ferragamo, black shoes, and, for a little bit of colour, she wore a red poppy. Now, I honestly do not mean to be disrespectful, and I know and fully respect Remembrance Week, which is currently taking place in the United Kingdom. But why Meghan chose to wear a poppy when she so hates the racist British, dislikes its royal family who made her suffer so much, and usually does not have time for anything which takes the spotlight off her, I do not know. I can only imagine that she decided on the splash of red as a fashion accessory. Okay, and again, Andrew Ross Sorkin introduces her as Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, and also the co-founder of Archwell, and mentions their deals with Spotify and Netflix. At this point, I already started giggling. Just before introducing Meghan, Andrew introduced Melody Hobson, and on the surface, it may sound as if Meghan's business acumen could be compared to that of Melody's, until you remember that Meghan and Harry had only done 1.5 podcasts for Spotify, and in nearly 2 years have not produced a single thing for Netflix yet. No wonder Andrew looked as if he was going to burst into laughter himself, but never mind. He kept it together and went on to talk about Meghan hitting the phones with regards to paid family leave, and asked her why it was her chosen topic. Oh boy. And then the sewage started spilling from her mouth. Firstly, her husband always say, with great privilege comes great responsibility, blah, blah, blah. And then she just had to bring up the letter she wrote about the dish soap ad when she was 11. Oh, cringe. Is she ever going to get over that? Oh my word. And then Andrew actually asked her about what happened when she introduced herself over the phone, saying, "Hi, this is Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex." And Meghan, glib as ever, manages to dodge the question, playing coy and saying she thinks they were pretty surprised. Well, I bet they were. However, I'm sure Meghan sees this as, oh wow, it's Meghan kind of surprise. Whereas I think it is more of a what the F, where did she get my number kind of surprise. Then Andrew asks her whether she has any anxiety getting involved with politics. She responds by saying that she does not see paid family leave as a political issue. But then my question is, but then why did she cold call politicians? Why not get a few mommies together and picket somewhere? She actually admits that she is aware that her husband's family, the royal family, do not get involved in politics, but that from her point of view, paid leave is a humanitarian issue. It is, however, her face that interests me when she talks about the royal family and when she says that she does not see it as a political issue. Firstly, when she talks about or mentions the royal family, it actually looks as if she's smelling something bad. She actually pulls up her nose slightly. And then when she says that she does not see it as a political issue. She actually looks down and you can actually see that she knows she's lying. Oh my. And then it gets worse. Meghan had 3 minutes 57 seconds of talking uninterrupted before Andrew asked Melody a question about financial literacy. And Meghan gives her exactly until 4 minutes and 49 seconds, a full 52 seconds to speak before she interrupts with her own brand of wisdom, or shall we say, her plagiarized wisdom, because she goes on to quote a Market Watch article dated April 2018 discussing a Merrill Lynch study which stated that 61% of women would rather discuss details about their own death than talk about their money. For those of you from other countries who do not know, Merrill Lynch is an American investment and wealth management division of the Bank of America. But anyway, perhaps we should inform Meghan that the report she quotes from, and that is without giving Merrill Lynch any credit, is well over 3 years old. And it is my belief that COVID had changed a lot of things. Then she continues to blah, blah, blah on with really exaggerated hand gestures about ambition and how it seems to be bad if a woman has ambition, but good if a man is seen to have ambition. Now, here I absolutely disagree with both Meghan and Melody and think that it is absolute BS that it is seen as a positive when men have ambition, but a negative if women have ambition. My goodness, are they coming from the era of the Stepford wives, or did they grow up in some religious cult? Well, to prove them wrong, and before saying anything on a public forum, I actually went and did some homework. And let me then quote some figures. In 2007, 28.3% of medical doctors in the United States were women. In 2019, 36.3% of all medical doctors in the United States were women. However, 2019 was also the first year that the majority of medical school enrollments were female. As a matter of fact, 50.5% of medical school enrollments in 2019 were female. So, Melody and Meghan, please just give these women a chance to graduate, will you? But let's move on. In 2020, 37.4% of lawyers in the United States were women. In August 2021, statistics showed that 47.3% of associates in law firms were women, and 36.9% of partners in law firms are indeed female. So please, can they, Melody and Meghan, tell me what barriers they are talking about? Okay, so let's leave that for a minute. Oh my gosh. And then the clincher, when Meghan is asked what kind of boss she is. Now, firstly, she absolutely beamed when Andrew talked about her being larger than life. But then she goes on to talk about being grounded, her ethics and values, and that she shows up like she always has. Well, I have news for Meggie. She is the least grounded person I have ever come across. To say someone is A grounded person means that the person is confident, have a strong connection to who they are. It also means they are sensible and reasonable, that they understand the importance of ordinary things in life. It also means that you are in complete control of your mental and emotional self. Well, Meghan certainly have a hard time deciding whether she is an emotional victim who wanted to kill herself when she was 5 months pregnant, or whether she is this strong, hard-working woman with ethics and values. Because you cannot be both and describe yourself as grounded and showing up in the same way she always has. Now, how would that be? Last I heard, there is an investigation into bullying in the workplace in the United Kingdom. There are 4 people that I know of who consulted a lawyer after their stay in Tyler Perry's mansion. There was a nanny who recently left with a huge huff and puff. There were stories prior to Harry about her diva behavior, and in one of my old videos, I actually spoke about a photographer and videographer who were not impressed by Maggie's attitude and whose staff were actually traumatized by her demands and attitude. There are also plenty of stories about her treatment of waitresses in restaurants, etc. And even if only half of these stories are true, then it is still far too many to classify Meghan as grounded, kind, or in any way relatable or real. Okay, and then the topic moves on to the influence of the media on women and their roles. And Meghan, of course, is the first to express her wisdom and talks about clickbait and a culture where the more salacious can be monetized, about creating the news rather than reporting the news. Well, I guess Meghan is an expert when it gets to that. Didn't she reveal or leak that they got paid $18 million by Spotify? Well, that is significantly more, well, much, much more than any other artist would earn on Spotify. But let's just have a look at it and just make sure of our facts, okay? Other artists would get paid an average of $0.004 per listen, or zero point 0.4 cent, or 4/10 of a penny per listen. So an artist would need about 229 streams to earn $1, or 229,000 streams to earn $1,000. And while we are on the subject, I looked it up. YouTube pays even less. A YouTube creator needs 570 streams or listens to earn $1, or 571,000 streams or listens to earn $1,000. So I guess instead of Megsy being called on to discuss the parity or equality of pay between men and women, she should rather be called on to talk about the already rich and privileged grifters being paid more just to show up than the average Joe Soap working their asses off to make a living. Poor Melody actually gets an opportunity to interject and tries to explain how social media can be used for good and to educate, but Meghan will have none of it and starts to talk over her about being indoctrinated to be cruel and blah blah blah. Now, at this point of the video, 11 minutes and 17 seconds into the 31-minute video, I'm teetering between falling asleep, laughing uncontrollably like a madwoman, or punching my laptop screen. Such is the effect Meghan's husky voice and exaggerated hand gestures have on me, and to keep track of her self-indulgent thought process is just, well, just nauseating. But let's soldier on. Now, Meghan is very outspoken about Instagram and feels that Instagram should install a dislike button, as currently, according to Megzy, one can only like an Instagram post, or if you don't like it or disagree, you have to make a vitriolic comment. Ugh, this darn woman. Really? No, Meghan. If you don't like something, you can scroll past it, or you can unsubscribe from the posters page, or you can ignore it. There is absolutely no reason why anyone has to comment. Nobody's standing there holding a gun to your head and forcing you to comment on everything you don't like or agree with. You actually only comment when you feel strongly enough about something to go to the trouble of actually typing something, okay? And if you do comment, the comment need not be vitriolic, which means cruel or bitter. A comment can be respectful and decent, even if you do not agree with a post. And most of us are not Meghan Markles or Karens and can actually discuss things without becoming bitchy, cruel, or bitter. Okay, Melody then has a few good comments on employee activism, progress which had been made since the Second World War, and progress which still needs to be made. But then Meghan has to add her 2 cents worth on a subject she knows only enough word salad on to get her through the interview. But talking about how she grew up, she now makes the statement which spread like a wildfire throughout social media, namely that she grew up clipping coupons. Now, look, Sam's book was not the most brilliant read I have ever read, but I think it was pretty truthful. And although Thomas Markle may not have been rich, they were certainly not poor, and definitely not poor enough to have to clip coupons. Maybe they liked doing it. Maybe Doria was trying to be frugal. Many people are. There is nothing wrong with it. But no, Meghan never had to clip coupons. Oh my God. And then she talks about making scrunchies when she was 8 and selling it. Oh, good golly. I don't know whether this is actually true, but for an adult woman to recall her financial education as a 12-year-old selling scrunchies, really? I thought she went to university. But then she really puts her foot in it when she calls women staying at home, taking care of their home and children, unpaid labor. No, my dears, I am not joking. As a matter of fact, I'm going to cut my narration and I'm going to play it for you.
That for women, especially women who are at home raising kids, they're working. It's just unpaid labor, and they need to be recognized for their unpaid labor.
She called women taking care of their home and children unpaid labor. Okay, no, I just can't with this woman anymore. I just can't. I was one of those mommies who had to work for most of my life as I was divorced young and got minimum maintenance for the children and maintenance for the children only. But if my life had been any different, I would give up anything to have stayed at home with my children, at least until they were old enough to go to school. What an honor and labor of love that would have been, to see my children grow and mature and learn, to be there for all their milestones instead of handing them over to someone recording their milestones in a little notebook for me. Yes, a woman needs to stay in touch, maybe keep up with or further her own education while being at home with the children. But to call it unpaid labor, really, that is cold, that is cruel, it is bitter, uncalled for, and self-indulgent, superior, and definitely a shitty attitude towards women who choose to and who can afford to stay home with their young children or who choose to homeschool them. Okay, then they move on to flexible work hours and tech like Zoom meetings, etc. And Melody makes a lot of sense and mentions that the pandemic certainly proved that it can work. Then Megxie agrees, saying they built their entire organization during COVID and could not have done that in the absence of Zoom, etc. But then she goes and spoils it by allowing her propensity to brag and embellish to take over by calling Archwell a global business. Really? How? Where? She says they have team members in the UK and other countries as well. Well, what does she mean? In which countries do they have people working for them? How are they paying their salaries? And if you have a global business, what are they selling in these other countries other than the bullshit they are selling in the United States? I'm talking about the vitriol coming out of their mouths, of course. Look, they may have the squad collecting money and making donations in their names in other places and countries, but that does not make Archwell a global business. So is Meghan talking shite, or has she let something slip which she should not have? I don't know, but we need to keep an eye on this. At about 27 minutes, they move back to Meghan as a boss, and she says one should treat people in the way you want to be treated, blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe she should take that under advisement. Maybe that is exactly why she is being treated badly. Because you throw tea at an employee and someone else will spill some tea about you somewhere. You bully someone to the point where they leave their jobs, and somewhere someone is going to get ticked off because you are not doing your job and cancel your 18 million contract or take your title. It is called karma. It is called don't do unto others that you do not want done to you. But you see, that is Meghan's problem. She can talk the words, but she cannot hear herself, and she definitely cannot walk the walk. Oh my gosh. And then towards the end, Andrew asks her about the court case. Ugh. And she still insists that the court case is just about her standing up for what is right. Again, I actually feel sorry for Andrew and Melody because they have obviously not done their homework on the submissions and documentation in the case, and obviously do not know that Meghan Markle had to change affidavits, admit to lies that she told, etc., etc., in order to get where she was in that case, and that it is most likely that the judge was paid with titles to be just a little bit more in her favor than he would otherwise have been. Okay, guys and girls, now that was my full analysis on Megsy Daisy's participation in the Pay Parity Summit, and I hope you enjoyed it. Tomorrow, we may be back with the court case, but before we get to that tomorrow, I'll be posting a very short video on something else which I heard about today and found rather upsetting. But that will be what we are in for tomorrow and maybe the rest of the week. So until then, please take good care of yourselves. And from me, it is bye.